My slips, my falls, my trials and tribulations, my heart, my balls, my somebody stop, please. Somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right, it's gone.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Mann, and I am the story supervisor on this movie here called Onward, and it comes out March 6th, and I've been working on this movie for a very long time, so I'm super excited for this date because it's been like 6 or 7 years in the making, so this is a big deal to me, so I'm super excited for this moment.
Hey, what's going on, YouTube family? This is Samuel Leggett representing Team JBS here. I have Joe Johnson 030 here, and I have the man of the hour, the head of Pixar, Kelsey Mann.
Well, not the head of Pixar. I'm not that important. I'm not
head of story.
Head of story. Yeah. Can I get a promotion? I mean, is that what you're telling me?
I think it's about what I'm saying. I mean, you do all the legwork. You get everything. So everything is filtered through you. So from the conception to the idea, it all comes straight to you. Yeah,
I mean, I work really closely with Dan Scanlon, our director, and you know, this is we worked together on Monsters University.
Yeah.
He was the director on that. I was the head of story, and Corey Ray was our producer. And so after we finished that movie, we took a nice long break, and then we all came back into development, and Dan had a chance to tell his own story. And so it was original because we were kind of inherited the Monsters University, and so this was something that he could do from the ground up. And so you know, we like to tell personal stories at Pixar, and this one is as personal as it gets because this is really about Dan's experience of never meeting his father. You know, I mean, his father died when he was 6 months old, so he doesn't have any memory of him. And he's got an older brother who's 3 years older than him, and Bill is his name, and he doesn't have any memory of him either. So this is really where that came from. It's like, oh, what if I had a character that had the same experience that I did, and what if they had a chance to spend one day with the dad they never really got to know? So that's kind of where this came from.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. You get me kind of emotional.
I know, yeah.
But getting back to the groundwork, just you talking about this has been how many years in the making?
Yeah, you know, day one was September 17th of 2013. It was a long time ago. It was a long, long time ago. It's these movies, they take such a long time to make, and animated movies, they're so complex because you have to create everything from nothing, you know? And we continually work on the story over and over again. You know, we put up, like I work with the story department, and what we do is we storyboard the movie. So basically we draw the movie. We're the first ones to kind of visualize the written word, right? And we do that every 3 months. We do a screening. For this film, we did 8 screenings with a 9th screening that's like an audience preview. So we're always putting up the whole movie and watching it and seeing if it's working or not.
Yeah. So my biggest question is, when it comes to just the start of it all.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings me back to like take the movie Aladdin.
Okay?
Yeah. So Aladdin with Warner Brothers Studios Animation. One of the things you can tell in that was a different moment from Mulan.
Yeah.
And a moment from Hercules.
Oh yeah.
That's just a random moment, and I was kind of like in my head when I was a kid. I was like, how did they know to plan that far ahead? So when you think about Pixar and how much work it takes, the tireless like VFX work and conceptual design, and Joe's actually an animator and an illustrator, so he understands that.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, how does that work? Like, what is the undergoing that it takes to start all this? Like, how far in advance would it plan? You said that this started in 2013, but there had to be prior planning ahead before even thinking about.
Not for what eventually became this film. That was really like day one, and it took a while for Dan to even get to this point of wanting to do a fantasy film. You know, I mean, that may have taken a few months, just even in the beginning. You know, what you do is when you're in development, they have you pitch 3 ideas. And so he developed multiple ideas, and this was the one that they picked.
Okay. So next big question, and this is a little bit controversial, so bear with me.
All right.
I love 2D animation.
Oh yes.
I am an advocate for 2D animation from the start of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs until I think Winnie the Pooh in like 2011. And then with you guys with Pixar, like you guys started off with nothing but just CGI VFX.
Yeah.
I think that Paperman was the closest you guys came like this merger.
Yeah,
of,
that was
2D.
Disney. Yeah, Disney Animation did that one. Fantastic. Yeah,
exactly. But I was always curious, like, what is your thoughts on 2D animation, and if you could pitch a film for Pixar to do, going outside the bar, what you guys normally do, and just going to that classic 2D animation, would you?
Yeah, well, you know what is really exciting right now is we have a whole program, it's a shorts program called
Disney
Spark.
Plus?
Yeah. It eventually, we've been working on those for a while. We weren't even sure like where they were going to air. They eventually found a home on Disney Plus, which is really great. Yeah. But a lot of people have been doing 2D. A lot of people. Rosanna Sullivan, she's a story artist who I've worked with in the past. She did this great one called Kitbull, and it's the first one that was 2D animated. And it's fantastic because there's a lot of people that love 2D animation at Pixar, you know? I mean, we love all kinds of animation, but there are people who are traditionally trained. A lot of them worked like at Disney, you know, and have animated on like Aladdin and Mulan, right?
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of talented people. So a lot of Spark projects are being done in 2D. It's super exciting because it's people are able to flex a muscle that they haven't used for a long time. Yeah. So it's great. If you haven't seen them, you should definitely check it out.
I have Disney Plus and I've been looking at it.
Oh, that's great.
I'm secretly a fan.
Yeah.
But no, there was a project that, like you said, there was an older animator from Disney that he was working on this side project, I think around 2013, 2016, called Hullabaloo. Oh, and like he was like getting all these other 2D animators together to work together to get this made. Yeah. But it never got cut. It just didn't go anywhere. But you can see the conceptual designs everywhere. So if you look up Hullabaloo, like it looks stylistically amazing. Yeah. It was all done 2D drawn. But
that's awesome. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, please do. All right. Oh, yeah. I threw him off. I'm sorry.
What were like the biggest challenges that you've experienced, like with this project?
Yeah, with this project.
Yeah. What was the biggest challenges that you guys had to overcome?
I'd have to say, you know, we do multiple screenings, right? And this one, the really unique thing that we had with this film is that we always kind of knew what Dan wanted to say with the film, and we always had this ending in mind. And we storyboarded it on screening 1, and we haven't touched it since. You know, and that's like, I don't think this ever happened at Pixar. Usually your first screening is so much different than what's released in the theaters. Yeah, they're vastly different. But our ending was always the same. Everything around it changed dramatically. You know, like the beginning. I would say probably the hardest thing the scene that we storyboarded the most was Ian's introduction. Like knowing how to start the film was honestly the hardest thing. Yeah. And because you have to do it like, you want to get in and get out. You want to make your point and like not belabor it. In fact, we had our audience preview, and one of the notes we had is that our Act 1 was just too long. They were like, we get it, you know. And so we went back to Pixar and we cut 2.5 minutes out of Act 1. Really? And we were like, don't even miss it, you know. Okay. So you have to be incredibly like efficient, and so it's hard. It's really hard to have just the right amount to get what you need.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Also, what I was curious about was the fact that you guys say you guys been developing this story and creating this film for like 7 years. Yeah. When you guys went in planning, because I know one thing, like technology changes like very rapidly. Yeah. Like, was there a point during development where you guys were like, okay, could we implement something we didn't plan, or some type of like technology that you guys didn't plan on having before in the application of making it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's true, because the different applications that are growing every day and from mass users.
it's hard for me to talk on the technical end because I don't know that as well as like Sanjay Bakshi is our technical supervisor. He can answer that like a lot quicker than I can. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what those guys do. But I will say, like one of the most exciting things that we did on this film is that our third act is pretty complicated. We had this thing where we would get together twice a week, and all the heads of all the departments would get together because this kind of ending that we had involved all the departments. It involved animation, character, sim, effects, lighting, story, and it was really complex. It wasn't like everybody needed to work on this particular character. I don't want to give it away, but there's a particular character that's like everybody had to be a part of to make it happen. And so that part was incredibly complex to get that done. So we would just watch. We kept watching the third act over and over again. Like twice a week, we would see it like a little bit more finished, a little bit more finished. And my job as story supervisor is to make sure that they're hitting the story points that we need. I'll make sure that that's clear, that that's doing that, and that's showing that, because that's the important story point. So that was probably the one of the most technologically difficult things that we did on the film.
I got you. Yeah. Oh, one more question for me. Like making like a fantasy or like a movie based in or a film based in fantasy. Was it kind of like liberating, like to have like a lot of freedom as far as like what you could do, how you could tell a story? Like how was that experience?
We had a lot of really weird conversations. This stuff doesn't exist, right? But we'll have arguments where we're like, technically, a Pegasus does not have a horn on it. You know, that's a peg of corn. Like, what are you talking about? You know, we're talking like this stuff is real. You're like, that's not how it is. You're like, all this is made up. You know, there's a lot of us that like really knew fantasy. Like Dan doesn't really. He's not like a huge fan of fantasy. You know, he kind of fell into making this because he needed like an opportunity to spend one day with somebody that he lost, and so he thought, oh, magic, you know. And then he had the idea of kind of combining the modern world and the fantasy world, and he had me when he showed me a drawing that he had done of a unicorn eating out of a dumpster. And I'm like, I'm in, man. I'm totally in with that. That was really great. You know, you want to be true. You know, there's so much fantasy that's out there, and there's different types. You know, we wanted to hit the stuff that's classic, stuff that like, you know, my mom would know. You know what I mean? But we also wanted to go a little bit deeper and hit some of the fans of the genre who are like, oh man, the gelatinous cube is in the movie. That's awesome. Like, there's a little like deeper cut stuff. You know, even the Manticore. Like, I hadn't even heard of the Manticore, but it's a real thing. It's a real like character that's like part bat, part scorpion, part lion. Like it's like that's like we didn't make that up. We did not make that up. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah.
But to even ping off of that, so like I love fantasy. I love like exploration of fantasy merged with modern technology and film. So Bright, I love what David Ayer did with Bright, and just the conceptualization of all these different like mythical creatures, but still in a real pretty, you know. But then like Sword Art Online with the simulation and stuff like that. And then Once Upon a Time, that was on ABC. You know, like they blended all these different kind of like characters, and even like some that were just in film. They would go and like, okay, here's the cast of Frozen, and I love that concept. So, what you got to do with that, I think that's really special. Awesome. So my last question for you is that you've pretty much worked in everything. You've worked in writing, you've directed, you've been a storyboarder, you've been, I think, animation designer, and now, of course, you're the head of story. What is your favorite part of this? Or what was your favorite things you would love to be doing right now, or where you are right now is fun? And you can expand on any kind of way you want to, because I mean you're multi-talented and you're passionate and you seem like you're very driven and you love the genre. So I'm just really curious, like, what is it right now that you love the most, and then as you are right now?
You know what I'm most excited about? You know, I did a screening the other day where I was kind of backstage while the movie was being played, and just hearing like the jokes up on the screen and having the audience react to it, I'm like, man, this is why I do it. You know, it takes a long time to get to that point. So I guess the thing I'm most looking forward to is I want to go to the theater and sit in an audience. You know, it's a lot like kind of doing stand-up. You have your act.
Yeah.
The whole point of doing it, of doing your act, is to perform it and have an audience react to it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and so I just can't wait to do that. A whole bunch of us like bought out a theater the weekend that it comes out.
Oh, really?
I'm just so excited to go check it out and hear people's reaction to the film. You know, we got to see a little bit about the audience preview, and it's just like, I don't know, it just raises the hair on my arms. You know, like when people can react to it, and they're like, especially when they tell us like how much it means to them, you know, and the ending and what we wanted to say about support. I don't want to give it away here, but people coming up to us and saying how much it meant to them. I mean, that's why we do it.
Yeah. So yeah, it means everything to us.
Yeah.
So we appreciate your passion behind it. We appreciate this project, and you guys, you got to go see this movie. Like, you're not going to be disappointed. Any final words on it?
No, I hope you enjoy it. We worked really hard on it, so I'm excited for this. So enjoy the movie.
Take care, you guys.